Okay, good evening. I'd like to call the City of Menasha Common Council meeting to order. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Could we have the roll, please?
Alderman Sevenick. Here. Alderman Langdon. Here. Alderman Tegrati. Here. Alderman Rapella. Here. Alderman Nichols. Here. Alderman Taylor. Here. Alderman Schmidt. Here. Alderman Tom Grady has been absent.
The first item on the agenda this evening is the report of department officers, department heads, staff, and consultants. We have the minutes and communications this evening. Is there a motion? Alderman Sevenick.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'd like for the council to receive minutes A through F and communications G.
Is a motion and a second? Is there any discussion? Stan?
Yes, we only have one communication, so I thought I would have Nancy McKinney explain the memorandum to us that we received. I'd like to post good news when it comes around to our community. Not working? She broke it. Just gotta pay for it now.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about this a little bit. We are really fortunate in Menasha to be a part of a coalition called Fox Valley Health Emergency Response Coalition, and it's the health systems and all the health departments. And part of that is developing a rapid response or a GO team for especially when we had the Ebola outbreak in other areas of the world. We were concerned about how we might manage that ourselves in our communities. This GO team has continued to operate for about 3 years, and it's elite members of the health systems and one health department member, which is Todd Drew, our public health sanitarian. And he's an invaluable member of that team. And they practice quarterly, so they are really ready to mobilize when there is an infectious disease and people have to be transported. They have highly sophisticated equipment, and they have been working together, and were recently recognized by the state of Wisconsin for an innovative emergency preparedness award. So we're very proud of the work that GO team does to protect our communities, and especially want to recognize Todd Drew of the Menasha Health Department, who is an integral member of that team.
Well, thank Todd from all of us for his
We'll do that.
continued outstanding work that he does for us.
Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Item F is public comments on any matter of concern to the city. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak this evening?
Tim Jacobson, 732 Paris Street. Just want to comment on the meeting that was here before on the Public Works facility. It seems like we're getting very, very close. I know a lot of questions on the details and everything are out there, but I think Adam is on top of the whole works, and he's got good staff to help him with all of that. And I've been up here many, many times on this facility. In fact, if I remember correctly, it started back in 1993. And I've made the comment before that the building was constructed in 1963 and obsolete by 1983. And it's amazing how the services have been getting provided out of that facility. As the story goes, when John Kennedy was contemplating running for president, he and Bobby were having a talk, and Bobby asked him, if not you, who? If not you, if not now, when? And I posed that question to all of you on the council and the mayor on this facility. If not you, who? If not now, when? As we know, 15 years ago, we were in the $7.5 to $9.5 million range, and I think the costs that have gone up are reasonable, not unexpected by anybody, but I think we're still in the ballpark to be able to do something. And with the staff coming up with this plan with the USDA, I mean, this is a once in a lifetime advantage for the city. Otherwise, we're still behind the eight ball on some of the other projects in the past. But some of the things that Adam was talking about with some of the vehicle equipment and stuff, taking care of handling some of that cost is not something that's unprecedented. We built that office out there at the cost of a garbage truck at that time. I think it was like 1996. So those are things that we do as part of the past administration, or did as part of the past administration, to be able to get something that we could work out of. I don't know if any of you know what it was like before that office was built, but it was very small. And my first office out there in 1985 was actually the bathroom. They'd pull the toilet out and put a cap on it and two filing cabinets with a piece of plywood over the top. So something had to be done on that end. But none of the things that Adam is doing is out of nowhere. I mean, it's been done. It's part of getting things done. And I think the faith that I have in that crew that came up is unbelievable. And I'd like to be able to come up here in, I think, was it 2021 when it's done, and be able to thank all of you the same way. But like I said, if not now, when? And if not you, who? Because we can't wait till it's 15 million or 17 or 20. That's not doing the taxpayers any good. The opportunity is there, and we need to strike while the iron's hot. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jacobson. Is there anyone else this evening that would like to speak? Seeing no one, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items that anyone would like separated this evening? Alderman Sevenick.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'll move that we approve the minutes of the Common Council of 1/20/2020 and the special Common Council meeting of 1/20/2020, and also the recommendations that came from the Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue.
Second.
Is a motion and a second? We already had a motion, so you can, you could,
There was no gap there, all of a sudden was speaking, there was no gap.
you can ask to have things separated. So if you'd like to ask for those items to be separated, we'll separate those two items. So there's a motion on the floor right now for the minutes to approve from the Common Council and the special Common Council meeting of 1/20. And was there a second?
Yep.
There's a motion and a second by Alderman Langdon. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion for item number 3? Alderman Sevenick.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'll move for item 3 as recommended by the Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue Joint and Personnel Committee, a memorandum of understanding for the fire response on Interstate 41 with Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue and the Town of Inland Fire Department and the Town of Neenah Fire Department.
There's a motion and a second by Alderman Grady. Discussion, Alderman Taylor.
Chief, is the current line, Breezewood, the south jurisdiction for us?
Currently, our district is from Breezewood to Double G right now. And then after that, it's split between Tonanina and Vinland currently.
Is that about a mile maybe, or not quite?
Yeah, it's probably about a mile, maybe a mile and a half at the most.
I'm just wondering why the town of Finland probably didn't take that stretch of 41 from Breezewood to 76, because it's most of their property out there. And instead of, and then we could take the frontage roads, in our department, instead of putting our guys out there in severe harm's way out on I-41. So I was wondering what the thought on that was, why we didn't.
So it all stemmed from the large traffic accident we had back.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Right. And don't get me
Yep.
wrong, when there's a catastrophic event,
Yep.
everybody goes. I mean, that's just the way it
Yep,
is.
really it was being able to respond in a timely manner. By the time the other two departments, because the biggest issue is there's no emergency turnaround between Breezewood and 76. And so there was really, and the other departments will respond again to the frontage roads, and we would be available to respond to the east side frontage road if necessary. So it really was, a matter of not, having us not being able to turn around. In the northbound lane, we would have to drive all the way down to 76, turn around, come up through traffic to catch maybe a quarter mile of the highway is our district in the northbound lane. So, just between, and Vinland has a station right off of 41. They have a pretty easy access and response time that way, but, each of us are on standby. We're talking maybe in that section, 5 to maybe 9 calls a year. It's not too serious, but again, it's something we're gonna review each year to see if something, response times are way out of whack. Of course, we'll obviously change those and go back to what we were doing, but again, it all just stemmed from talking about that incident, and having the proper crews respond in what we thought was a more logistical way, I guess.
Okay. Just always trying to reduce the risk to our crews, and
Yep,
but also it's very important that we learn from a catastrophic event like that.
yep,
Thank you.
yep, you're welcome.
Alderman Sevenick.
Thank you, Mayor. As it was explained in our minutes, it is very difficult for our crews. They basically have to go all the way down to Oshkosh to turn around to come back to service areas back up towards Neenah because of the fact that there are no exit areas from that point on. And I think this is an outstanding agreement to have where the town of Inland can service that area that we can't get to as quickly as they can, and vice versa. I think this is a outstanding intermunicipal agreement. I'm the first person that's up here that argues about sharing services with townships. But when this is a situation like this only makes sense.
Further discussion? Seeing none, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
There you go. Motion carried on roll call 7-0.
Do we have a motion for item 4? Alderman Sevenick?
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'll move that the Common Council agree with the Needham and Nash Fire Rescue Joint Finance and Personnel Committee to combine a recruitment class of understanding with both the Needham and Nash Fire Rescue and the Oshkosh Fire Department.
So motion and a second by Alderman Langdon. Is there any discussion? Alderman Taylor?
Hey, Chief, could you just walk us through the first part of this in your document here?
Sure. About every other month, we I get together with what we call the Northeast or the Fox Valley Fire Chiefs. And, we, from Oshkosh to Appleton to Grand Chute to Fox Crossing, we meet to see, if there's anything that can help and benefit our department. So one of the discussions was, recruit training and the fact that each department has one training officer. And so, on our end, we have Assistant Chief Peglow, and when we have recruit training, whether it's one new recruit or two or three, he's the one out there doing the training with our recruits, and typically we would have to pull one or two off-duty, or not off-duty, I'm sorry, one or two crews from whatever station to assist with the training, depending on what it is. And so if you can imagine our department where we have one, maybe two new recruits a year, when they're done with a scenario, they have to stop, take those new recruits plus our engine companies that are there to assist, put everything back in order to run the drill again or a different drill. Where in this scenario with Oshkosh, they also have the training chief, and then we're looking at having anywhere from 6 to 10 recruits. They can be broken up into engine company crews of 3 or 4. And then one crew can be run the scenario, the next crew can be on standby, ready to go with the next one, and then the third crew is getting equipment back into place, allowing the other 2 crews to rest before the next scenario. So, and then it also allows us where we don't have to pull as many crews from a station down to help with the training. So the other thing it allows us to do is it allows us to expand our training in those 5 weeks, where, for example, we are very well versed in confined space, swiftwater rescue, and Oshkosh is not. And so we can give those recruits a quick review of those different kinds of operations. And Oshkosh, on the other hand, is a regional hazmat team. And so our recruits get a real glimpse over of hazmat where now they're able to get a more in-depth coverage of some hazmat stuff. And there's some other things that we do and Oshkosh does that we'll be able to cross-train our new firefighters that we haven't been able to do before. So it's just the way we looked at it, plus there's shared costs then in some of the items that we used or that we will use. So they've donated some brand new ladders for us for the training facility. So I think it's just a good opportunity to share resources, and down the road, Appleton and Grand Chute are in a little bit of updating of their admin staff, and so they're looking at, we're gonna do this as a trial basis this year, and then it looks, possibly Appleton or Grand Chute would get on board maybe next year or the year after. So we've all talked, and there's definitely some benefits in doing some cost sharing, and it would be at our training facility. So you know, possibly down the road, depending on how well it goes, or you know, those departments may be able to assist in being able to help update or upgrade or share costs down the road as well. So, and other items.
We all know that the taxpayers throughout the greater Fox Valley here provided the dollars to build a space at the Fox Valley Tech training facility, which is an incredible facility. Why then would Appleton and other people be starting to use our facility, or Oshkosh using our facility? I see the cross-training that you're saying, okay, but I guess what it comes down to is we have to fund a facility, and I see that it's a 50-50 split for our training tower and grounds. And we all know that that facility comes at a cost to the taxpayers of Menasha and Needham. So how do we, what's the difference between Fox Valley Tech and our facility?
Sure. So when other departments utilize that, now you got to remember that there's classes going on during the college year, and so being able to get that during the day when the career departments do most of their training during the day. It's very hard to, be able to reserve the facility. It's very possible, but sometimes depending on what the training is with the students, it's hard to get that facility. The other reason is, Fox Valley Tech requires to have so many instructors per student. And so instead of having 1 or 2 instructors, on that ground, you may end up, if there's 5, 10, 15, depending on whatever students there are, recruit class, you know, you may have to have 4 or 5, instructors based on what their guidelines are. So, having it by us, obviously, we don't have that requirement. It's a matter of having a training officer per department, and/or assistance from an engine company from, either Oshkosh or us. And again, if it looks like it's not cost prohibitive, or we're utilizing something that needs repair more than we thought we would, again, after a year, we would review that to see where those costs are, and maybe have to come up with a different plan, and maybe that is, having, some type of money or monetary type issue that we could work out, but I think the first thing is to see what the benefit is this first year. It may work, it may not work, but, we thought we would give it a try. So that's really the big difference. And then, yes, Appleton traveling to us is probably the same distance as them traveling to the tech, but I think it's the availability, and then it's also, being able to work with 3 or 4 other, career training chiefs that, I think the training is gonna be, really top notch between our departments.
What is the Fox Valley Tech training facility? What are their hours?
The hours are, you can reserve it, so there would be some, I'm assuming, and I don't know for sure, but typically it's during the day, so probably they're done by 5 or 5:30, and then there's probably more availability at night. However, some of the career departments have, not in ours, but, there are some that, depending on the training hours, may get some type of extra pay or whatever it is, in the evening. And typically, admin staff such as our training chiefs, typically they're done, by 4 o'clock, but doesn't mean they can't come in and work some, time in that 5-week period. So, but that's the biggest difference, and those are the hours at the tech.
We're providing the training tower and the grounds, the facility, and why a 50-50 split?
Obviously, I know that we own it and there's that cost to it. As far as using materials and having that cost, it's gonna be very little. Again, I understand that we already own it and there's a cost to owning that. 50, yeah, 50-50 split is, I think what they looked at was whatever materials are used, that we didn't look at, what it costs to have that for the year and prorate it some way. But again, if it's something, I think, again, it's just a trial for this year. If it doesn't work out, or if some piece of equipment is wrecked more frequently, obviously, we're gonna take a look. And I think there was a one-liner in there in that MOU about, future use and maybe working out an agreement with cost sharing of that facility.
Because we have seen in the past, what it costs to keep this, training tower and grounds, up to date. It's not like there's nothing out there that, it's not, invincible. There's nothing that's ever gonna break. Things break out there, you guys moving parts and things, and so.
Correct.
I'm just a little concerned over that the facility takes a little more abuse than just with one department than with 2. And I like the cost sharing and the different chiefs coming into it, or the training facility, but let's see where the year goes here. And I think at one time you put together a plan for that training facility, what it would cost to keep it updated and what needs to be fixed out there. So probably look at that here in the next year or 2, see what that cost analysis would be for that facility to continue. And then again, see if the the split next time is fair to the community. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Seeing no further discussion, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Motion carried on roll call 7-0.
Item I is action items. The first item is the accounts payable and payroll for January 20th through January 30th. Alderman Nichols?
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the accounts payable and payroll for the term of January 20th through January 30th, 2020 in the amount of $1,188,994.22.
So motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Motion carried on roll call 7-0.
Item 2 is the beverage operators license applications. Is there a motion? Alderman Nichols?
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the beverage operators license applications for the 2019 through 2021 licensing period as listed under approved in the clerk's memo dated January 29th, 2020.
Is there a second? Second. There's a motion and a second by Alderman Ted Grady. Any discussion? Seeing none, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Motion carried on roll call 7-0.
Item 3 is a Class A liquor license application. Do we have a motion? Alderman Nichols?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move for the approval of the Class A liquor license application for PNB LLC doing business as Menasha Marathon for the premise at 209 Racine Street, Menasha for the 2019 through 2020 licensing year.
So motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Motion carried on roll call 7-0.
Alderman Nichols has asked if we could recess to the Board of Public Works before we discuss the resolution for the interim financing. If there's no objections, I'd accept a motion. Alderman Sevenick?
Move that we recess into the Board of Public Works.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? We stand at recess. Thank you.